You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Hey, Elon Musk may have bought Twitter, but he can't buy me. Okay, he can. Probably pretty cheaply, too. Hell, the only reason I haven't sold out yet is no one's offered me a check. And it doesn't have to be a check. I take PayPal, Zelle, Venmo. Trade for action figures or for hot toys. Stay tuned for the Dan Wickline Show. You know, they told me they needed a cold opening. They didn't tell me what it had to be. So, all right, everybody, how you doing? It is Tuesday, April 26th. This is the Dan Wickline Show on The Experience. And we are going to have a kind of a mishmash day today, not to confuse with Jen's show of mishmash. We just have a lot of different things to cover. Plus, our main topic will be the recently announced World of Warcraft expansion, DragonFlight. So we're going to get to that. But man, CinemaCon started yesterday, and a lot of news came out of that. And there's just a lot going on right now. So we're going to hit this pretty fast and heavy, try to cover as much as we can. And feel free to comment, chime in. Let me know what you're thinking about this stuff. And hey, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And that helps me out a lot too. So, and tell people about the show. The more people we can get on here watching, the better things are going to get. All right, let's get started with some of the interesting bit of news dropping over the last couple days, including the latest promo video for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness had a name drop that everybody is talking about. And the fact is that we all knew it was going to, or we had a good idea this name was going to drop, but we didn't know it would drop in a promo trailer. And what it is that Carl Mordo, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, he tells Doctor Strange that the Illuminati will see him now. That's the name, the Illuminati. We've been talking about it. Oh my God, that's the Illuminati, but no one actually said the name. Now it's out there. This, of course, was a team that debuted in New Avengers number 7 back in July of 2005 from writer Brian Michael Bendis and artist Steve McNiven. And the original team consisted of Mr. Fantastic, Doctor Strange, Namor, Black Bolt, Iron Man, and Professor Xavier. And it was put together just after the Kree Skrull War to be kind of the United Nations of heroes, you know, because Tony Stark felt that there was a lot of information out there. Had it been shared, they could have done something to prevent or help end the war earlier, and they didn't. So this was kind of a way to get all of the heads of those teams to start kind of communicating. Well, there was another member that was invited, and that's the Black Panther, but he declined because he felt that these guys had kind of a self-righteous attitude, and that when they actually would disagree on something, then he predicted that would be a big problem. And you know what? When you look at Professor X and Tony Stark and the, you know, Namor and Black, there is a lot of arrogance on the team. So, and I think it did happen the way he thought it would. Now, we're not exactly sure. There's been a lot of different characters who have popped up on the Illuminati over the years, but we're not really sure what the lineup's going to be in the film. Now, there's a good chance that it's going to be Patrick Stewart as Professor Xavier. We hear his voice in the trailer. Also, the big rumor, one of the big things is that Haley Atwell is supposed to be popping up as Captain Carter from her What If days, and we see her shield on the poster in one of the shards of glass. So I think those two are pretty good bets. Other ones that people have talked about, but we haven't really gotten any confirmation on, a version of Black Panther. It could be the Eric Killmonger version, or it could be a T'Challa version. I don't know. It could be a completely different version. Superior Iron Man has been talked about. That's the Tom Cruise rumor. And of course, a variant of Captain Marvel. Now, that's all the stuff they've been talked about, but we have no confirmation on any of those. Just we have confirmation on the name, the Illuminati. All right, moving over to the other group, the DC group or Warner Brothers. Since the news of the Discovery buyout of Warner Brothers, 2 movies that have been slated for HBO Max premieres have suddenly been getting a lot of talk that they're going to go to theaters instead. So that would be The Batgirl and Blue Beetle. Now, Batgirl film features Leslie Grace as Barbara Gordon, has Brendan Fraser as Garfield Lynns, and has a return of Michael Keaton as Batman, and J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon, which doesn't make a lot of sense because J.K. Simmons is Ben Affleck's Commissioner Gordon. Michael Keaton's Commissioner Gordon was Pat Hingle, I believe. Should have looked that up, but yeah, I think it was Pat Hingle, who I don't believe is with us anymore. So that could be something caused by the Flashpoint thing, but and Blue Beetle, of course, has Zolo Miraduena as Jamie Reyes. If I got that name wrong, I'm very sorry. And the cast also includes Susan Sarandon, Harvey Gillian, and George Lopez. Not sure if I ever thought George Lopez would show up in a superhero movie. Batgirl was slated to come out this year and Blue Beetle next, but there's a good chance these will be bumped later to fit into the film schedule. So that's the word coming out, that those movies may become theater movies instead of just HBO Max releases. Sony got on the mic last night, and they talked about the upcoming Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, and said it had the largest crew of animation movie ever. So like thousands of people working on it. But the movie itself would feature 240 characters over 6 different universes. And there's a chance that the Part 1 part of the title will be dropped, as it announced that Part 2 would be called Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, which would make sense. So you have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. They also showed 12 minutes of footage that, while unfinished, did show characters like Gwen Stacy, Spider-Man 2099, of course, which is going to be voiced by Oscar Isaac, and a Jessica Drew character on a motorcycle. Now, the bad news, of course, came a little while ago when it was announced that both films would be delayed almost a year, and the first part will come out June 2nd of 2023, and Part 2 will come out March 29th, 2024. So that's quite a bit of move back, but the movie was great, the original, and I look forward to these. Now, Sony also talked about other new films now in the works, based on they're going to do one based on the Marvel anti-hero El Muerto. Now, if you don't know who El Muerto is, you're not alone. This extremely obscure character was first created by Peter David and Roger Cruz in the pages of Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man #6. He is Juan Carlos Estrada Sanchez, and is one of a long line of Mexican wrestlers who go by the name of El Muerto. But it's more than just a name. See, there's a special mask that gets passed down in his family generation to generation. And with the mask and the title comes special powers. So he is a superhero. But you know what? I'm going to get more into that because I think the character is going to need to maybe a little deep dive. Maybe I'll get to that tomorrow or next week. But we'll talk more about El Muerto and his appearances and whatnot and how he helps Spider-Man. But I think the main reason that this movie appears to be moving forward at all is that they've got Puerto Rican rapper, actor, and professional wrestler Bad Bunny, also known as Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio. He's signed on to star in the project. So I guess I don't know Bad Bunny. Barely knew El Muerto. I mean, I remember reading him, but I don't know a lot, didn't know a lot about the character, but I don't know Bad Bunny. So I'm going to do a little digging into that as well. And like I said, I'll cover that in an episode coming up. But Sony is continuing to try to grow their Spider-Verse of live action films. I mean, they did great with the Into the Spider-Verse, and Venom is doing all right money-wise. They're not great films, but they're making good money. But so they're pushing ahead with productions on Kraven the Hunter, Madam Web, and then of course they just announced a third Venom movie. So these are all moving forward. And I have to admit, of all the characters from the Spider-Verse, El Muerto and Madam Web were not ones that I thought would get standalone films. Silver Sable, sure. Spider-Woman, definitely. Black Cat, The Prowler, Puma. There are so many others that seem to be higher profile, but Sony's doing their own thing. Maybe they're trying to do representation, a Puerto Rican led superhero movie, a female led superhero movie. Then again, there's a lot of female characters they could choose from over Madam Web. But, hey, they're doing their own thing. And, we should have faith in Sony, right? I mean, look how well they did with Morbius. Oh, wait. This could be bad. Just saying. I wouldn't pre-buy tickets yet. Just saying. All right. Let's. Oh, and also to no one's surprise, Sony's working on a sequel to Ghostbusters Afterlife. You knew when it hit and did well that they were going to jump all over it. Now, they are. Now, moving away from Sony, you remember the Hawkeye series? I know it seems like forever ago that Hawkeye was airing. We had Book of Boba Fett, and we had a long dry period, and then we had, Savage Dam. Book of Boba Fett, and then Moon Knight. So it seems like forever since Hawkeye. Well, the main director on Hawkeye, there was a couple, but Rhys Thomas, he's been selected to direct the new Mark Canton and Gianni Nunari's Robotech for Sony Pictures. Again, staying with Sony. Robotech is set in a time when Earth has developed giant robots from the technology of an alien spacecraft that crashed in the South Pacific Island, and now is using that technology to fight off the impending alien invasion. I mean, Robotech is an extremely popular anime series and toy line and all this other stuff. So a live action movie makes a lot of sense, but I don't know if this is this sounds like it's a film, in which case Rhys Thomas has been directing TV shows, so it's interesting, and he does comedies. He's done Saturday Night Live, stuff like that. So it seems kind of weird that he's being picked, but he did do a great job on Hawkeye. So we shall see. All right. You know what? Let's talk about one other topic, and that has to do with Netflix. We got word that Netflix is absolutely struggling. They've lost a ton of viewers, and their subscriber base is dropping like, I don't know, ticket sales for Morbius. And people are talking about, they need to change. And the big thing that they're talking about is how they keep canceling shows that people like. Now, I'm fairly sure that if people watched a show, people like the show. They watch the show. And they watch the show, and Netflix wouldn't cancel it. So the numbers have to be there, because bottom line is Netflix is out to make money. They're not just out there to do certain, we're just going to have fun. No, they're doing things to make money. And then if the numbers are there, they're going to keep doing it. But I think where the big problem is how they release their shows. They just announced that Raising Cain, was that Raising Dion? Yeah, I think Raising Dion, which is the kid with powers type of a series, just got canceled after season 2. So this is another one that people are going, oh my God, everybody loved that show. Why did they cancel it? Well, if everybody loved it, they would have the numbers and they wouldn't cancel it. So what the problem is, and I think this is very simple, is what Netflix needs to do, and this is going to upset some people if they do it, they need to change their release schedule. Right now, they take a show and they go, hey, we have a new series of Russian Doll. Here it is, enjoy. And everybody goes, oh my God, it's a new season of Russian Doll. Oh my God, this is awesome. This is great. This is great. And they sit down, they binge watch it, and then it's done. And they go to work the next day, or they go and talk to them. Oh my God, did you watch Russian Doll? Russian Doll was awesome. Da, da. And then like 2 days later, crickets. Nothing. And the reason is because it's all done. They put a show out. They get the buzz around that show for the weekend, or for maybe even, I'd say even 2 weeks, because some people don't get that, they watch it a little bit over time. But then it's done, and people stop talking about it. But you look at a show like Moon Knight. Moon Knight is a character nobody's heard of before this. And I mean, there are still some fans. I'm a Moon Knight fan. But Sean, Netflix honestly is about to shoot themselves in the foot again, because they're doing crackdown on password sharing. I don't necessarily think that's the issue, because HBO Max does the password sharing, is really tight on passwords, and nobody is complaining about that. I think what people are complaining about isn't the real issue. The issue is dropping everything at once. Like I said, look at Moon Knight. You go out onto YouTube, and one episode comes out, and you get all of these different channels do a thing about Moon Knight. They review the first episode. They go into deep dives into the episode. Oh my God, Amit. Let's talk about Amit. Oh, and the Ennead. Who are the Ennead? And they do all these shows and all of this talk for a week straight about one episode. Then episode 2 comes out, and all of this stuff happens. And suddenly we start going all these different directions, and you get another week of channels like New Rockstars and Heavy Spoilers and Emergency Awesome, and all of these channels that do that. And then there's reaction videos, and then there's summarization of reaction videos. People go through and pick out that moment in an episode and then show all of that from all the reaction. There's so much stuff that comes off of a single issue or a single episode of this that it keeps the buzz going. And that's off of one single episode. Then the following week, another episode comes out, and it happens again. And I bet you, if you look at the amount of hours given to 1 week of a Marvel show, or or a Star Wars show, or just the Peacemaker series, compared to The Witcher. The Witcher is a hugely popular series, but The Witcher came out, put all the episodes out, and most people just did a single video to review it. You didn't have anything to deep dive into. You didn't have any history or anything like that. So Netflix is pretty much doing these shows, but then they're killing themselves by chopping off the buzz for it, by just putting it all out at once. They really need to move to a weekly release. And I know people love to binge watch it, and I know people are going to hate me for saying this, but that's what they need to do. They need to stop just dropping everything at once. You know, when there's a new Umbrella Academy, put it out 1 week at a time. Let the buzz build up. Let people look into the comics. Let all these websites come out and go, oh, well, this is what happened in the comics, so I think this is what's going to happen. All of these theory videos, those are the things that then people find online, and it keeps the buzz going week after week after week. But, you know, you just drop it once, and half the time what happens is somebody comes along and they'll start binge watching a show, and then they'll get overwhelmed by it and they don't go back to it. I bet you anybody listening right now, you've got a couple series out there on Netflix that you are 4 episodes into, 5 episodes into, that you didn't get back to. I loved the first Altered Carbon series. I'm halfway through season 2. Never got back to it. That was 2 years ago, 3 years ago now. Jessica Jones season 3. I'm 2 episodes in, and now it's on a new platform. Binge watching is great for getting all of that, but you can't make that your modus operandi for a streaming service, because you've got to get people to come back. And if people sign up for The Witcher for 1 month and they get it all at once, they have no reason to stick around. Where if you did 8 episodes over 8 weeks, you get 2 months. And if you start it in the middle of a month, you see where I'm going here? You could really make it work that you're not going to get, you know? So I think if Netflix wants to get their numbers back up, they need to ditch the binge model, the drop it all at once model, and they need to go to weekly releases. There's a reason why it's been working for years, and it's a reason it works for Marvel and Star Wars and DC. And the other thing I recommend is that they need some superheroes on Netflix. You know, the Amazon Prime has The Boys. That's another one. Prime does drop everything at once too, but most people subscribe to get free delivery from Amazon, so they get Prime anyway. That's not as big a deal, but they've got The Boys over there. You've got Marvel at Disney and Star Wars at Disney. You've got DC at HBO Max. They really need to go out and get a deal with Valiant. Bring Ninjak, bring Harbinger, bring Exo Man of War, bring those characters to Netflix, do series about them, something like that. Yeah, that's the other thing, is Netflix costs the most, but Netflix model also encourages them because they need something new debuting every week. Disney doesn't have something new every week. What they do is they get a show that comes out and they get 6-8 weeks out of it. So they don't have to have a new thing every week. Netflix has to have new movies every weekend to keep people interested. So they really need to change that formula. So, all right, guys, let's take our first commercial break. I'm running a little late, so let's do that. And then we'll come back and talk about World of Warcraft DragonFlight. Let's go with DragonFlight. Be right back.
Thanks for tuning into The Experience. Help us out and hit subscribe over on YouTube and click the bell when you do. Need some help? Scan the QR code in the bottom corner. Did you know that every experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. We are talking the news. We've got most of the news covered. We are going to get into the World of Warcraft announcement. I think tomorrow, I'm still solidifying tomorrow's show, but I want to talk about what's going on with the Harry Potter franchise, because I think I think they're going to have to change what they're doing. So I think that'll be a good topic. Also, I'll probably do a quick dive into El Muerto so we can talk about that going forward. And of course, on Thursday, we are going to do our spoilery discussion about Moon Knight, my buddy here. And that's going to be the big topic on Thursday. And after last week, your guess is as good as mine as where the hell that show's going. I honestly do not know. So, come back for the rest of the shows this week. Also, stick around after today's show. It's Tuesday, so should be Black Comic Universe. Minute to Skim It with Miss Jen. And then I'll be back tonight with Jay, and I don't know if Kyle will be joining us or not, but we'll be doing in stores this week, and we've got some pretty cool books coming up. We got the newest Harbinger issue. We've got Something's Killing the Children. There's Draculina, Barbarella. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up on the show later today, so you want to stick around for that. We got a great lineup here on The Experience going on all day. Now, let's get back into our conversation. And we're going to talk about BCU isn't on the schedule. Huh. Nobody told me. All right. So make sure you come back for a Minute to Skim It with Miss Jen, and then Kyle and, Jay and I, and possibly Kyle tonight for in stores this week. All right. Getting back to World of Warcraft. So last week, Blizzard had their big announcement of the expansion for World of Warcraft. Now, I have been playing World of Warcraft since I think about 2 weeks after the release of their first expansion, Burning Crusade. I had a friend of mine who I hadn't spoken to in quite some time send me an email, said, "Hey, I just started playing World of Warcraft. You should get it and come out and join me. I'm on this server. And if you don't remember who this is, you're a turkey butt." Well, I really didn't want to be a turkey butt. I mean, that's something that sticks with you for a long time. So I went out and I bought the base set, and I bought Burning Crusade, and I signed up, and excuse my dogs, they probably heard a moth or something somewhere 20 miles away. So I signed up and decided I'm going to make a prot warrior, because a protection warrior sounds like a great character. Now, anybody who plays World of Warcraft immediately knows what a bad idea that is for leveling. Going into a dungeon, you want a prop warrior, man, or a protection paladin or something like that. But for your first character in World of Warcraft to make a prot warrior, and Lisa, my friend, made a holy paladin. And we leveled together. What a mess that was. So a healer and a tank going out and doing all this stuff together. We didn't die much, but it also took us a really long time to kill things. No, that was, I want to say, March of 2007. Here we are 15 years later, and I've taken some time away from the game, gone back, time away, gone back. So has she. We're currently playing again. We've been playing. We're playing Shadowlands, which is the current expansion, but we're not really playing the Shadowland content because it's kind of funny. Sometimes you love an expansion, sometimes you hate it, and it also varies. I know I wasn't a big fan of Lich King, which, if you're playing Classic WoW, they're about to release Lich King into Classic WoW, which is just restarting, Warcraft from the 2004 model going forward. But and I know she's not a big fan of Shadowlands. I'm hit or miss on it. The themes aren't that great. Pandaria was interesting at first, but got very monotonous. Warlords of Draenor was pretty good because you got your garrison, which was something unique, and just and then that got a little repetitive because you had to maintain your garrison by multiple characters. So there's a lot going on. But again, we're back, and like right now, we're doing a lot of stuff from the previous expansion, Battle for Azeroth. We're going through and opening up all the islands from there because it's a little more fun when you're a level up. When you're 10 levels above that area, you can go through and do these things. So it's more time and exploration. So we're having fun doing that. We go on every night, do a few things, and that's how we spend our evenings. So it's fun. But to hear this new expansion, there's a lot of stuff about it to get excited about. A lot of things that make me excited for it in a way that I haven't been excited for the game in a long time. Now, the first thing, if you're a Warcraft player and you've been away a while, you'll see that the first thing they say is, oh, we're going to go up to level cap 70. And you're probably thinking, wait, what? We were at 120. How did we get down to 70? Well, an expansion or two back, they did a mush. They took everybody down to 50 or 40 or whatever your equivalent was, and then you had to work back up again. With Shadowlands, you could go up to level 60. I think with Battle of Azeroth, it was 50, then 60. So now it's kind of interesting that they're still doing that, where every expansion's a 10-level jump, because it seems like that after a certain number of expansions, you're just going to have to do it again. You would think they'd go, well, let's do 5 levels or something like that, but it's a 10-level jump. So that's the first thing, is that there's going to be another 10-level jump. And that's pretty common. They've always done 10 levels. I think there was one expansion that it was only 5, which was kind of weird. But it's a 10-level jump. But some of the more interesting things is I've been hoping for, well, I always love new races. That's one of the things that we started doing originally when we started playing again, is with Battle of Azeroth, they introduced a bunch of new races. But they really weren't a lot of new races. There was a couple new ones, like the Volpir. But a lot of it was, oh, well, this is a Lightforged Draenei, a slightly different version of the Draenei. This is a Void Elf, a slightly different version of the Elves. And down the line, or this is a different version of the orcs and stuff like that. So we went through and we opened up all the Alliance ones. We're doing the Horde ones now. But they're introducing a new race, a playable race that is completely different. And that's the Drakthir. And the closest thing you could compare them to are the Worgen, which came out a while back, quite a bit back now. And the reason that I compare them to the Worgen is you get 2 forms. You get a draconic form, or dragon-like form, and you get a humanoid form. And that's basically what these are dragon or dragon-human hybrids. So that's where the comparison of the Worgen, who are werewolves, ends. But the neat thing is that you'll be able to customize both versions, the draconic version and the humanoid version, to a certain extent. I think if you pick a color scheme for one, that it sticks to the other two. So like if you have, if you're green and orange scaled draconic form, then there's a likelihood that some of that coloration is going to show up on your humanoid form, because the humanoid form is not pure human. It's got scales on it and stuff like that. So there's a crossover there. But, so basically you get to be a dragon creature. In D&D, they call it a dragonborn. Now, the other interesting thing, and this is something I've been wanting for a while, is they have a new player class. Now, they've introduced quite a few classes over the years. The monk class came out. When the shamans came out, they came out with Burning Crusade. But the monks were probably what came out with Pandaria. They introduced Death Knights, which are hero class, and Demon Hunters, which are also a hero class. So it was time for them to do another hero class. Now, I've been hoping for Bard, mainly because years ago they did an April Fool's joke where they announced the Bard hero class. And instead, and I knew it was a joke. It was April 1st. I take everything with a grain of salt that day, so I knew it wasn't real. But what they said worked in my mind. It was really cool. So I've been hoping that eventually they would make a Bard hero class, because Bard is a hero. It's a class in Dungeons and Dragons. It's not like it's that outrageous of a thing. But they've come up with something completely new, and that is called an evoker. And an evoker it's a caster, but it's like a medium range DPS or a healer. And the evokers only can be Drakthir, and Drakthir can only be evokers. And they basically they use dragon magic, the different dragon aspects, the dragon colors are different forms of magic. So there's blue, gold, red, black, white, and it pulls from that. So if you're a healer, you pull from a pair of colors. If you're a DPS, you pull from a different set of colors. And that's how this character works. So it's really steeped in the fact that you are part dragon. So you're never going to see a dwarf evoker or a Draenei evoker. It's always going to be a Drakthir, which they did with the Demon Hunters too. They're night elves, but they're kind of changed night elves. They're corrupted night elves. So now also with the hero class, they never start at level 1. They're always quite a bit higher. I remember when I think the level was 70, level cap was 70. The Death Knight started at 50, and the Demon Hunters I think started at like 90 when it was 100. They're always about 10 to 12 levels below, and that's the case here too. The evokers are going to start at level 58, so you'll have 12 levels to max. So evoker seems like and like I said, they can either be healers or ranged DPS, and they're going to have some really interesting graphics because some of the abilities are very steeped in dragon lore. You're going to have a flame breath. You're going to be able to use your wings to create wind blasts, stuff like that. So all of the attacks are going to be very specific to this class. And that sounds awesome to me. I think that's going to be really neat. The other thing you get, and one of the worst parts of any new expansion, is when you get into a new zone, you can't fly. And you have to do a ton of things to get to fly. That's one of the things we're working on right now in Battle of Azeroth. To fly in Kul Tiras and Zandalar, you have to explore all the lands, which would be easier if you could fly. You have to do all of the quest lines in each of the areas. You have to become revered with like 6 different factions. And you have to do like 100 world quests. So there's all this stuff you have to do just to be able to fly in this area. Well, that's not going to be an issue with DragonFlight because the zones are created very as much vertical as horizontal. Flying is going to be crucial, but they're changing what it is. You're not going to fly, you're going to ride. You are going to be given a dragon mount. It's called a drake, a Dragon Isle Drake. The Drake is going to be customizable. It'll be the first mount in game that you can actually customize. You can add horns and hair and scales and whatnot. And then as you get higher level, but you're going to get this at level 1, or when you first get into Dragon Isle, you're going to get this, but you'll get abilities for your Drake. So it seems like there's going to be actual maneuvers and fighting you can do on your Drake, because they're talking about barrel rolls and wing attacks and stuff like that. So we'll have to see how all that works out. But you're going to need this. So you're not going to be flying around on your normal mounts. You're going to be using your Drake. But again, customizable, and it's going to come into the gameplay. So as you unlock more abilities, your Drake will get better. But also they're talking about how they're adding in momentum and gravity into the gameplay. So this is going to be something more than just your standard flying. It'll be interesting to see how it all works. And if it works well, if it'll then move out into the rest of Azeroth. All right. Let's see. Instead of just jumping right next into the next topic, let's go ahead and take our second break. We'll do that. We'll come back and we'll talk about the new zones, the new HUD, how they're going to rework professions and everything else. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.
This is The Experience.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey there. Hi there. Ho there. You're as welcome as can be.
Hi, I'm Nancy McCann. Welcome to Friday Night Live on The Experience.
Welcome, everybody. Fat Jack's Comic Crypt. Brendan, Al, Jason, hanging out.
There I am. Welcome back to Kicking It with Henry, folks. I am your host, Henry Kumpa. It's great to be here with you guys.
So we are going to talk about books that are in stores this week.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mishmash.
Hello, and welcome to the Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics.
And you gotta love it that the first people in the minute to skim it are creators.
Up, everybody! Welcome to another Wednesday Warriors. My name is Joey Galvez, and this is my pal Ambrosia.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to Space Cadet.
Hey!
What's up?
Welcome, everyone, for another episode of I Must Ask You a Question.
Hi, everybody, welcome to Nerd News Now.
Hey, this is Rex. Welcome to Comic Collectibles.
Hey, hello, all you happy people. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is the crazy show that we do on Thursdays called What's in the Box? What's in the Box?
Comic culture and sales.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We are talking about World of Warcraft DragonFlight, the upcoming expansion. We're going through some of the announcements, so let's get right back into it. With the new thing, we're going to get, there's basically 4 new zones plus a starting zone. So as an evoker, you're going to have your own little starting zone, and that's great. And then after that, there's going to be 4 new zones to quest in to level up. These are Waking Shores, Onaran Plains, Azure Span, and Thaldraszus. They really give you a hard time with names on these. These are all part of the Dragon Isles. And now the Dragon Isles have been part of the lore of World of Warcraft for a long time, but they've been a very mysterious part that they haven't got into a lot. So they're finally exploring this in the game. Now, the story has the world starting to heal. That's one thing they talk about. There was the big sundering that ripped things apart and changed everything. Well, the dragons went away to allow the planet to heal. Now it's getting to the point where they can bring the dragons back. The dragons' magic returns. So this is kind of a big deal story-wise in World of Warcraft. But along with the dragons and the return of the Isles, there's a couple, we're going to get a new group of half-giant elementals called the Jaradin. And then there's also, we don't know much about them yet because they're still keeping some of the stuff quiet, but there's supposed to be an old civilization of centaurs that we're going to get to meet. And an old favorite, the Tuskar, will be returning as well and having a presence. We haven't seen the Tuskar much since, I think, Lich King. So it'll be neat to... I always wanted to play a Tuskar. They bring in all these other races to play. You can be a mecha gnome. I don't want to be a mecha gnome. I want to be a Tuskar. Or a fish person. Let's do something really extreme. But now, Lightforged Draenei. All right. One of the things that they haven't really changed over the close to 20 years that there's been World of Warcraft has been the HUD. The user interface. There's been some modifications. There's some add-ons that you could use to change it. But overall, the basic HUD has been the same. A little, like I said, little changes here and there. But they're revamping the HUD for the new expansion. They're going to make it more customizable so you can move things around. So this sounds like something players may use some, but I know a lot of people who get pretty set in their ways. They expect this to be here, that to be there. So I think it'll be minorly used. It's one of those things everybody thinks is a great idea. I'm curious to see just how much it really gets used. All right. There's 2 big things that they're addressed. And they seem like minor, but if you've been playing a long time, they're going to be major. We're going back to talent trees. And one of the things you could do in early WoW, and it wasn't always a good thing, but you could mix and match talents. You didn't have to pick a specialization. You're a warrior. Okay, I'm going to be a fury warrior. And then here are the talents you have to choose from. Or I'm going to be an arms warrior, and this is your talents, or a prot warrior, and these are your talents. You pretty much were opened up to everything. So you could say, oh, well, I've got 15 points to spend, and you'd have like 50 or something. And I got 15 points to spend, so I'm going to put 5 over here in prot, so I'm nice and sturdy, but I also want to be able to cause some damage, so we'll put some over here in fury. And then we'll put some here in arms because it gives me the ability to hang, they can't knock the weapon out of my hand. Those type of things. Those are the decisions you had to make in the past when they were these huge talent trees. And they just kept getting bigger and bigger. And finally they thought, okay, let's simplify this. Let's make it easy for everybody. And in doing so, they really dumbed it down. So nowadays, you start a new player, you go out to a website like Icy Veins, and you go, okay, what's the best build for a Destruction Warlock? They tell you, okay, here are the 6, level 15, you pick this one. At level 25, you pick this one, And then you just go in, you pick your 6, and you're done. or they give you, well, if you're questing, you want to use these. If you're doing dungeon or raids, you want to use this. If you're doing mythics, you want to do this. But there was no customization. It was all everybody pretty much runs around with the exact same spec nowadays. If you're doing X, then you get the same spec. So they're talking about going back to trees and points and allowing the spending and stuff like that. And I'm not quite sure how this is going to work because sometimes it backfired. We played with a guy, and I don't want to say names because he may actually watch this, but a player who thought that they knew better than, and he picked like from 3 different categories, a little of this, a little of that, a little of that, because he thought that it would make him more powerful, more sturdy, but also be able to do more damage and also be able to heal himself well. And what it ended up doing was making a character that really wasn't good at anything. So there is that potential, but that's the thing, is that you have that potential to customize and do how you want. So it's neat to see them bringing back the trees, and I think it's something a lot of people liked, and I think that it's in Classic WoW as well. So when they see something that's really loved back in Classic WoW, they're looking at it for future back into that. So we're getting the trees again. So that to me is awesome. And also, it sounds like, unlike before where you have to go pay for reset and have to reset all of them, it might be a little more flexible. So when you're going into a fight, like, oh, okay, in this fight I need more mobility, let me change this. Okay, in this fight I need more life, I need more sturdiness, so let me change that. So I'm hoping that's what they'll do. They should make it awesome. But another thing they're doing is they're going to rework professions. Now, if you've been playing the last few expansions, you realize that the professions have just become, they started off being important, but you made yourself gear, you made yourself things to sell on auctions so you can make money, you made your potions, you made your own buff food, bandages, everything you needed to survive. Now they're just a money pit, and they're confusing as hell, and they're really hard to level up because you need so many things, and it's almost not worth leveling up your skills. And it's also confusing in that each expansion has their own little area, and that it goes up on its own. So you could have Shadowlands maxed and have like 3 points in Coltera's cooking. And you can't do anything in Coltera's because you haven't leveled up your cooking there, even though the next level up, you have cooking maxed. So hopefully they'll revamp all that, make it a viable thing again, where what you're making is worth selling, worth using. They do that, I'm going to applaud. But also what they're doing is they're creating this thing called a work order system. So if you want someone to make you, engineering has some great mounts and stuff. There's, some other professions do as well, or bags or whatever. So you could put a work order out there saying, okay, I want this, and this is what I'm willing to pay. I've got the mats. I just need someone to build it. And then somebody can come along, look at the work orders and go, oh, I'll do that one. I'll do that one. I'll do that one. So I think that'll be great, bringing the work order system in, again, to make professions matter again. We haven't heard anything about raids or dungeons, but there is talk about one dungeon that will get maybe a little bit of a facelift. They're talking about taking us back to Oldemon and exploring some unknown, as yet undiscovered tombs in this classic dungeon. Oldemon's been around forever. And if we go back, this will come out in pre-patch. The idea being it'll get players back on before the new expansion comes out, and they'll be able to look at some of the changes and stuff. So it'll be a pre-patch or a pre-expansion patch that'll bring Oldemon in to have people to play again before all the new stuff comes in, to get you used to some of the changes. I think that's a great idea. As for when this is coming out, there's no official launch date. Now, they have talked about hoping to have the alpha up and running early, soon, maybe even as early next year, hopefully sooner than that. But they have to do the alpha, then the player, the testing realm, all that stuff. Normally they release this in the fall, like September, October, November. So I'm pretty sure it won't be this year. I mean, I pretty much guarantee it won't be this year. Maybe in 2023. So that means if you're getting back into World of Warcraft and you want to level up tunes to get them ready, get them up to 60, this is my best piece of advice. Okay? You can go through and go into Shadowlands and quest like crazy, or about every 2 weeks they're doing these time walking dungeons. And what that is you basically go into a classic dungeon. It's adjusted, and if once you're level 50, you go in and you can get a lot of experience running these dungeons, and everybody does it. So you got a character that's 46, you quest them up to 50, and then you run maybe a dozen or so of these time walking dungeons over a week, and you level to 60. It happens pretty quick. You get a lot of experience. You get a lot of the gear you're going to need. You can use your time walking badges that you get to buy gear, buy mounts. It's a great way to go from 50 to 60 without having to do the same quests over and over again. Because if you're like me, you have a bunch of tunes. I have at least one maxed out, or I had one maxed out of every class. And now I've got all the new races. I've got one of each as well. So I've got like 20 tunes that I want to level up. But I'm not going to go and do all the quests and Shadowlands, whatever, just to get them ready for the new expansion. I'm just going to do time walking dungeons. Get them to 50, do time walking dungeons. That's it. So that's my little bit of advice if you want to get ready for the expansion when it comes out. There's a lot of fun stuff going on in Warcraft again, and I'm really looking forward to the expansion. All right, folks, that wraps it up for me. No Black Comic Universe from what Jay tells me, but you'll want to come back at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern for a Minute to Skim It with Miss Jen. And then I'll be back with Jay and possibly Kyle, I'm not 100% sure, for In Stores this week at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, where we talk new comics as well. We will see you tonight. See you again tomorrow for El Muerta and what the hell's going on with Harry Potter and what Warner Brothers should do. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.